If you're stuck in a bit of a creative rut and you're looking for ways to regain a bit of inspiration, then in today's videos, I'm sharing 6 creative techniques for you to get that creative spark back. Hey guys, it's Lauren. Welcome back to That Stage, where we talk all about food photography to help you build the creative career you want. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just go through phases where I feel like I'm repeating myself, or I'm up against a shot and nothing I try is working. And in those times, I really need something to help pick me up and get the creative juices flowing again. As a professional food photographer, we can't let these times of lack of inspiration and lack of creativity get us down, because we still need to be able to produce quality work for our clients, whatever we're feeling. So in order to keep me on my toes, I've put together a list of 6 ideas, tactics, and techniques designed to challenge my complacency and keep things interesting. If you feel like you're just going through the motions with your food photography too, then keep watching. So everyone loves a super fast lens and a little bit of sexy out of focus action in the background of a photo. There is nothing like that blurry background and a really sharply in focus subject to get the taste buds watering. But just because you can use selective focus doesn't necessarily mean that you should. We don't want to overuse this technique. Selective focus can be overused, and we really don't want to turn this into a gimmick. One of the main reasons that we use selective focus is to bring a subject into the foreground and let the background complement the subject rather than being a distraction. But if we overdo the blurriness, then the blurriness itself can become a distraction. Like if we have not enough of our subject in focus because we're using a too wide aperture. In this pancake shot, I made sure that I was using an aperture that allowed me to get the entire stack in focus from front to back, while still maintaining a little bit of blurriness in the background. So if you find that you are relying on blurry backgrounds in your compositions, then maybe try stopping down a bit for some more detail. Similarly, we can get so caught up in the delicious particulars of a dish that we forget to take a step back and look at the context. Close-ups of details and texture can be really attractive, but there is such a thing as going too far. If we look at this photo from about 4 or 5 years ago, when I just got my very first macro lens, you can see that I just went too far with this macro shot to the point that it's kind of become a bit of a gimmick. We don't have any context for the photo at all, and it's not a great composition. Fast forward a few years and have a look at this raspberry photo instead, and even though we're still using that really nice close-up shot, we're pulled back just enough that we still get the context that this is a pile of frozen raspberries. So don't go crazy with the close-ups. Okay, let's talk about changing your point of view. And this is one that I'm pretty excited about because it's sort of this handheld versus tripod debate. Now, you guys know I am a die-hard tripod shooter. I believe it is the best way to get tack-sharp images of the highest quality in any sort of whatever light you're working with. However, it is too easy to get locked down on your tripod and never move and rely on just moving your subject or a couple of props in order to vary your compositions. So always make sure that you explore your scene handheld first. This shot that I took of this grapefruit cocktail was actually one that I took at the very end of a tripod shoot, and it turned out to be my favorite image of the day. Exploring your scene handheld first allows you to discover the best angles before you lock your camera down on a tripod for the hero shot. Okay, let's talk about safety props. Now, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. We all have a few props that crop up again and again and again in our food photos. And for good reason, props can be really expensive, but you know, we need to keep things varied. So if you find that you're using the same things over and over again, it could be time to get some new props in your collection, but it might also be a good opportunity to try and shoot with no props. We're talking super minimal. So try on your next shoot, just taking your dish as it is with a background and playing with the light and the shadows and the composition, and see what you can create in a really simple setup. So a lot of the tips that we've covered so far have focused on the risk of repeating yourself and getting stuck in ruts. But sometimes revisiting techniques that you've tried in the past can be really fruitful. As you progress as a photographer, it can be easy to think that you've fully milked a technique and you don't want to revisit it, but actually go back through your archives, check out some of the photos that you took a few years ago and see if you get a new spark of inspiration for something that you tried before, but maybe you have a better idea now of how to achieve that vision. So check your archives. So back in the 70s, musician Brian Eno and his friend Peter Schmidt created a set of prompt cards designed to help combat creative block. The idea is really simple. You take a card and you try and follow whatever short but somewhat ambiguous prompt is written on the card. Now, these were created with musicians in mind, so a lot of the cards don't directly relate to photography. However, there are a number which you can translate into photography inspiration. For example, with a little imagination, phrases such as into the impossible, simple subtraction, emphasize repetitions, give way to your worst impulse, turn it upside down, use an unacceptable color, humanize something free of error, emphasize the flaws, even abandon normal instruments could all quite easily be interpreted in photographic or culinary form. So make sure you check out the oblique strategy cards and see if that sparks any ideas. So obviously it's important as photographers that we remain challenged and we keep pushing ourselves in our work. But unfortunately, we can't always rely on the paid work we get to do this for us. So it's really important to make sure that we're always shooting personal projects, pushing ourselves to learn new skills, because then we can offer those new skills to our clients as well, and it will just keep you creatively challenged. Let me know in the comments which of these techniques you're going to try, and if you have any tips of how to get out of a creative rut as well, and I will see you guys in the next video.